Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Scha Om Agyanatimarandasya Gyanachana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganarasisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavad Premno Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhantanadim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shidaram Banchakopatarubhyascha Kripasindu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. We're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila chapter 21, the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna. Verse number 58. Ananta Brahmandera Jata Brahmarudragan Chiraloka Pala Shabde Taharaganan. Actually, it is very difficult to ascertain the number of universes. Every universe has its separate Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who are known as permanent governors. Therefore, there is also no counting them. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are called Chiralokpala, permanent governors. This means that they govern the affairs of the universe from the beginning of the creation to the end. In the next creation, the same living entities may not be present, but because Brahma and Shiva are existing from the beginning to the end, they are called Chiralokpala, permanent governors. Lokapala means predominating deities. There are 8 predominating deities of the prominent heavenly planets, and they are Indra, Agni, Yama, Varuna, Niriti, Vayu, Kuvera, and Shiva. Ek din Dwarakate, Krishna deki vare, Brahma ila Dwarapala, Janaila, Krishna re. Once when Krishna was ruling Dwaraka, Lord Brahma came to see him, and the doorman immediately informed Lord Krishna of Brahma's arrival. Krishna kohen kon Brahma, ki nama tahar, dwaryashi brahmare, puche arabar. When Krishna was so informed, he immediately asked the doorman, which Brahma? What is his name? The doorman therefore returned and questioned Lord Brahma. Bhishmita hoya Brahma Dwarake kohila kahugiya sanakapita chaturmukaila. When the doorman asked which Brahma, Lord Brahma was surprised. He told the doorman, please go inform Lord Krishna that I am the 4-headed Brahma, who is the father of the 4 Kumaras. Krishna janana dware brahmare loyagela Krishnara charane Brahma dandavat koila. The doorman then informed Lord Krishna of Lord Brahma's description, and Lord Krishna gave him permission to enter. The doorman escorted Lord Brahma in, and as soon as Brahma saw Lord Krishna, he offered obeisances at his lotus feet. Krishna manya puja kore tare prashna koila ki lage tomara ihan agamana hoila. After being worshipped by Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna also honored him with suitable words. Then Lord Krishna asked him, Why have you come here? Brahma kohe tahapache koriva nibedan eksam shayam manehai koraha chedan. Being questioned, Lord Brahma immediately replied, later I shall tell you why I have come. First of all, there is a doubt in my mind which I wish you would kindly dissipate. Kon Brahma puchile tumi kon abhipraye amabayi jagateyara kon Brahma hoye. Why did you inquire which Brahma had come to see you? What is the purpose of such an inquiry? Is there any other Brahma besides me within this universe? Shuni hase Krishna tabe korelena dhyane asankhya brahmana gana aila tatakane. Upon hearing this, Sri Krishna smiled and immediately meditated. Unlimited Brahmas arrived instantly. Dash bisa shata sahasra yukta laka badan koti adbuddha mukha karo na jaiganan. These Brahmas had different numbers of heads. Some had 10 heads, some 20, some 100, some 1,000, some 10,000, some 100,000, some 10 million, and others 100 million. No one can count the number of faces they had. Chandragana Aila Laka Koti Baran, Indragana Aila Laka Koti Nayan. There also arrived many Lord Shivas with various heads, numbering 100,000 and 10 million. Many Indras also arrived, and they had hundreds of thousands of eyes all over their bodies. It is said that Indra, the king of heaven, is very lusty. Once he had sexual intercourse with a wife of a great sage, and when the sage learned about this, he cursed lusty Indra with a curse that put vaginas all over his body. Being very much ashamed, Indra fell down at the lotus feet of the great sage and begged his pardon. Being compassionate, the sage turned the vaginas into eyes. Therefore, Indra possesses hundreds and thousands of eyes all over his body, just as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva have many faces. The king of heaven, Indra, has many eyes. Got cursed. Deki Chaturmukha Brahma Vampara Hoila Hastigana Madhye Jena Sashaka Rohila. When the four-headed Brahma of this universe saw all these opulences of Krishna, he became very much bewildered and considered himself a rabbit among many elephants. As he came to see, Lord Brahma came to see, Lord Brahma, who has 4 heads, came to see Krishna in Dwaraka when Krishna was there, and he taught the doorman tell Krishna that Lord Brahma has come to see him. And then Krishna sent back the message, which Brahma? Then he came in, he was confused, and he said, are there any other Brahmas? How many people have in this universe have 4 heads? And Krishna showed him Brahmas from other universes that came, and some had 1,000 heads, some had up to 10 million heads. Ashisa Brahma Krishna Parapita Age Dandavat Korite Mukuta Parapite Lage. Also many Shivas and many Indras came. All the Brahmas who came to see Krishna offered their respects at his lotus feet, and when they did this, their helmets touched his lotus feet. Krishna Rachindya Shakti Lakite Kehomanare Jata Brahma Tata Murti Ekai Sharire. No one can estimate the inconceivable potency of Krishna. All the Brahmas who were there were resting in the one body of Krishna. Parapita Mukutagra Sangate Uti Dwani Parapite Stuti Kore Mukuta Henajani. When all the helmets struck together at Krishna's lotus feet. There was a tumultuous sound. It appeared that the helmets themselves were offering prayers unto Krishna's lotus feet. Jodahate Brahma Rudrade Koraye Staban Bora Kripa Korila Prabhu Dekaila Charan. With folded hands, all the Brahmas and Shivas began to offer prayers unto Lord Krishna, saying, O Lord, you have shown me a great favor. I've been able to see your lotus feet. Bhagyamora Bolaila Dasha Angikori Konagya Hoy Daha Kore Shiridori. All of them then said, It is my great fortune, Lord, that you have called me, thinking of me as your servant. Now let me know what your order is, so that I may carry it on my heads. Krishna kohe toma sabha dekite chita hoila tahalagi ektai sabha bolaila. Lord Krishna replies, since I wanted to see all of you together, I've called all of you here. Sukhi hao sabe kichu nahi daityabai tara kohe tomara prasade sarbatra ijai. All of you should be happy. Is there any fear from the demons? They replied, by your mercy we are victorious everywhere. Samprati pratibite jeva hoija chilabar abatirna hoyataha korela samhar. Whatever burden was upon the earth you have taken away by descending to that planet. Darakare bibu tara eta praman amara I brahmande Krishna sabara hoylagyan. This is the proof of Dwaraka's opulence. All the Brahmas thought, Krishna is now staying in my jurisdiction. Krishna saha Dwaraka Vaibhava Anubhava Hoila Ekatra Milane Keho Kaho Na Dekila. Thus the opulence of Dwaraka was perceived by each and every one of them. Although they were all assembled together, no one could see anyone but himself. So they were all there, but they couldn't see each other. They could only see. Tabe Krishna Sarva Brahma Gane Vidai Dila Dandavad Hoya Sabe Nijagarigila. Lord Krishna then bade farewell to all the Brahmas there, and after offering their obeisances, they all returned to their respective homes. Deki Chaturmukha Brahmara Hoila Chamatkar Krishna Charane Ashik Koila Namaskar. After observing all these opulences, the four-headed Brahma of this universe was astonished. He again came before the lotus feet of Krishna and offered him obeisances. Brahma bole purveame jay nischoy korila tara udarana ami ajita dekilun. Brahma then said, whatever I formerly decided about my knowledge, I have just now had personally verified. Janandeva janantu kim bahukta name prabho manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tavagochara. There are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think in that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. O my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. Krishna kohe e brahmanda panchashat koti yojan ati kudra tate tomar charibadan. Krishna said, your particular universe has a diameter of it says 4 billion miles, but it's a translation, but I'm not sure. Koti yojan. Koti is 10 million, and yojan. Koti yojan is translated as 4 billion miles, but I think it could be translated as much bigger than that because of the term yojan. There's always alternative. Anyway, Krishna said, your particular universe has a diameter of 4 billion miles, therefore it is the smallest of all the universes. Consequently, you have only 4 heads. Only needs 4 heads for a small universe. Bigger universes require more heads. Kon Brahmanda Shatakoti, Kon Lakakoti, Koniyutta, Koti, Kon Koti Koti. Okay, let's see. Some of the universes are 1 billion yojans in diameter, some 1 trillion, some 10 trillion, and some 100 trillion yojans. Thus they are almost unlimited in area. Brahmanda Nurupa Brahmana Shariravadan Erupe Palyami Brahmandaragan. According to the size of the universe, there are so many heads on the body of Brahman. This way, I maintain innumerable universes, Brahmandas. Ekpada vibhuti har nahi pariman, Sripad vibhuti ra keva kori pariman. No one can measure the length and breadth of the 1/4 of my energy manifested in the material world. Who then can measure the 3/4 that is manifested in the spiritual world? See, certain words can be translated in different ways, like when it's mentioned by Lord Chaitanya in the prayer about in separation from the Lord, I'm considering one moment away from you, like what is the translation they say? I'm considering one moment away from you, like, I believe they have the translation 8 years or more, but in another translation it is translated as eternity. And that's more what the meaning is, because sometimes scales are used which are diminutive to show smallness, or large to show largeness, but it's supposed to be beyond your ability to calculate, but it doesn't necessarily refer to a particular numeral, to a particular calculation, like this verse here in Mahaprabhu's Exhaustic. It says, Trinadapi sunichena taror iva sahishnuna. Wait a minute. I went to one. Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahename. Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahename. O Govinda, without you the world is empty. Tears are flooding my eyes like rain, and in a moment seems like forever. So that's really what is referred to here. But some translations have it, O Govinda, without you I feel a moment to be a moment of absence from you, to be 12 years or more. The word yuga is sometimes translated 12 years. But actually, the meaning that's being presented here has nothing to do so much with 12 years. I'm considering one moment of absence from you to be 12 years or more. It's meant to convey the idea of an eternity or forever. So sometimes dimensions are meant to show you some vast largeness. But modern persons can say, oh, the universe is much bigger than that. If you calculate it out, they can say, well, it stretches beyond our calculations. But that's what's meant by numbers. Diminutives, very small numbers, are meant to show the infinitesimal size of the living entity, the jiva. And very large sizes are meant to be beyond your calculation, but they're not really completely beyond calculations. They're just showing vastness. But it's to give some. But the idea here, why are terms used? Because it's showing that there are different Brahmas who have bigger universes. Some of them have much bigger universes than others. Now, according to science, they say the universe is always expanding. But then you could say, well, still, even with that definition, some universes are more expanded than others, or bigger. And it's hard to calculate. If you talk about unlimited size, it's hard to say that something's unlimited size, but it's bigger. But it's not impossible, because Srila Guru Maharaj said, a point on a line on a plane in a solid. So how many points on a line? Infinite number of points on a line. How many lines in a plane? Infinite number. And how many planes in a solid? Infinite number. But still, if you look at the solid, it's going to be bigger than the line. We'll say like that. The line is infinitesimal, we'll say, compared to the solid. But there are an infinite number of points on the line. There are an infinite number of lines on a plane. And there are an infinite number of planes in a solid. But still, you can still get some idea of relative size, even though you're talking about infinity. Some persons may argue, but that's one of the understandings we have. Ek pada vibhuti hara nahi pariman, Sripad vibhuti tara keva kori pariman. No one can measure the length and breadth of the 1/4 of my energy manifested in the material world. Who then can measure the 3/4 that is manifested in the spiritual world? Tashyapare paravyoma Sripad bhutam sanatanam amritam shashvatam nityam anantam paramam param. Beyond the river Viraja is the spiritual nature, which is indestructible, eternal, inexhaustible, and unlimited. It is the supreme abode consisting of 3/4 of the Lord's opulences. It is known as Paravyoma, the spiritual sky. Tabe Krishna Brahmane Dilena Vidai Krishnera Vibhute Swarup Janardan Jai. In this way, Krishna bade farewell to the four-headed Brahman of this universe. We may thus understand that no one can calculate the extent of Krishna's energies. Triyadishvara Shabdera Arta Gurara Hoy Trishabde Krishnera Tina Loka Koi. There is a very deep meaning in the word Triyadishvara, which indicates that Krishna possesses 3 different lokas or natures. The word Triyadishvara means proprietor of the 3 worlds. There are 3 worlds, and Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of them all. This is explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. A person in full consciousness of me knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all three entities, attains peace from the pangs of the material universes. The word Sarvaloka means all three worlds, and the word Maheshwara means the supreme proprietor. Krishna is the proprietor of both the material and the spiritual world. The spiritual world is divided into two portions, Goloka, Vrindavan, and Vaikuntha. The material world is a combination of universes, unlimited number. So three worlds refers to lower planets, middle planets, and upper planets or celestial planets. All right, let's see. Oh, here, no, it says, I'm wrong. Here it says the three lokas. Golokakya, Gokula, Mathura, Dwaravati, 18 loke Krishna, Sahaje, Nityastiti. There are those three levels, but here it says the three lokas are Gokula, Goloka, Mathura, and Dwaraka. Krishna lives eternally in these three places. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that in the Goloka planet there are three divisions, Gokula, Mathura, and Dwaraka. In his incarnation as Gaurasundar, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord conducts his pastimes in three areas, Navadip, Jagannath Puri in South India, and Brajamando, the area of Vrindavan Dham. Navadip, Jagannath Puri, and Vrindavan. Antaranga Purnashvarya Purna Tindam Tinera Adishwara Krishna Swayam Bhagavan. These three places are full of internal potencies, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is their sole proprietor. Purva Ukta Brahmandera Jata Dikpala Ananda Vaikunta Varana Chira Lokapala Tasabar Makuta Krishna Paras Pita Age Dandavat Kale Tara Mani Pite Lage. As previously mentioned, the jewels on the helmets of all the predominating deities of all the universes and Vaikuntha planets touch the throne and the lotus feet of the Lord when those deities all offered obeisances. Mani Pite Teka Teki Ute Janjani Piterastute Kore Mukute Hena Anumani. When the gems on the helmets of all the predominating deities collided before the throne and the Lord's lotus feet, there was a jingling sound, which seemed like prayers offered by the helmets at Krishna's lotus feet. Nija Chik Chakye Krishna Nitya Viranjaman Chit Shakti Sampatira Shad Aishvaryanam. Krishna is thus situated eternally in his spiritual potency, and the opulence of that spiritual potency is called Shadaishvarya, indicating 6 kinds of opulences. Say Svaraja Lakmi Kori Nitya Purnakam Ateva Bede Kohe Swayam Bhagavan. Because he possesses the spiritual potencies which fulfill all his desires, Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the Vedic version. Krishna Aishvarya Para Amritera Sindhu Avagahite Naritara Chuyilun Ek Bindu. The unlimited potencies of Krishna are just like an ocean of nectar. Since one cannot bathe within that ocean, I've only touched a drop of it. Aishwarya Kohite Prabhu Krishna Swarti Koil Krishna Swarti Hoila Madhurye Majilaman Ek Shloka Padila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was describing the opulences and spiritual potencies of Krishna in this way, there was an awakening of love of Krishna within him. His mind became immersed in the sweetness of conjugal love, and he quoted the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, what's happening here is when Mahaprabhu is describing these things to Sanatan Goswami, Mahaprabhu is describing the opulence of Krishna, but then he gets carried away and goes in, becomes ecstatic. So the following portion is all in the form of poetry. I mean, longer verses and poetry, and it's expressed by Mahaprabhu in his ecstasy. So it's basic here. There's a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then comes Mahaprabhu's explanation. Yadmartya lilo payikam svayoga maya balam darshayata grihidam vishmapanam svasya cha sobagarde parambaram bhushana bhushanangam. To exhibit the strength of his own spiritual potency, Lord Krishna manifested a form just suitable for his pastimes in the material world. This form was wonderful even for him and was the supreme abode of the wealth of good fortune. Its limbs were so beautiful that they increased the beauty of the ornaments worn on different parts of his body. Krishna Rajateka Kela Sarvatama Madhya-lila Narabapu Tahara Swarup Gopavesh Venukar Nabakishore Natabar Naralilara Hoyanurup. Lord Krishna has many pastimes, of which his pastimes as a human being are the best. His form as a human being is the supreme transcendental form. In this form, he is a cowherd boy. He carries a flute in his hand, and his youth is new. He is also an expert dancer. All this is just suitable for his pastimes as a human being. Krishnera Madhura Rup Shuna Sanatan Jay Rupera Ekan Dubai Sab Tribhuvan Sarva Prani Kori Akarshan. My dear Sanatan, the sweet, attractive, transcendental form of Krishna is so nice. Just try to understand it. Even a fractional understanding of Krishna's beauty can merge all three worlds in the ocean of love. He attracts all living entities within the three worlds. Jogamaya Chit Shakti. So there, the three worlds refer to all the planes of material existence. Yogamaya Chit Shakti Vishuddha Sattva Parinati Tara Shakti Loke Dekaite Erupa Ratana Bhakta Ganera Gudadan Prakata Koila Nitya Lila Hoite. The transcendental form of Krishna is shown to the world. My dear Sanatan, the sweet, attractive, transcendental form of Krishna is so nice. Just try to understand it. Even a fractional understanding Krishna's beauty can merge all three worlds in the ocean of love. He attracts all living entities within the three worlds. Jogamaya Chit Shakti Vishuddha Sattva Parinati Tara Shakti Loke Dekaite Erupa Ratan Bhakta Ganer Gudadan Prakata Koila Nitya Lila Hoite. The transcendental form of Krishna is shown to the world by Lord Krishna's internal spiritual energy, which is a transformation of pure goodness. This jewel-like form is the most confidential treasure of the devotees. This form is manifested from Krishna's eternal pastimes. Rupadeki Apanara Krishna Hoila Chamatkara Ashwadite Manayute Kam Sa Saubhagya Jaranam Sundar Jadig Gunagram Erupa Nitya Taradam. The wonderful form of Krishna in his personal feature is so great that it attracts even Krishna to taste his own association. Indeed, Krishna becomes very eager to taste it. Total beauty, knowledge, wealth, strength, fame, and renunciation are the six opulences of Krishna. He is eternally situated in his opulences. So total beauty, knowledge, wealth, total beauty, knowledge, wealth, strength, fame, and renunciation are the six opulences of Krishna. He's eternally situated in his opulences. Bhushanera Bhushana Anga Tahin Lalita Tribanga Tahara Upara Brudanu Nartan Terache Netranta Ban Taradrida Sanadan Binde Radha Gopi Ganaman. Ornaments caress that body, but the transcendental body of Krishna is so beautiful that it beautifies the ornaments he wears. Therefore, Krishna's body is said to be the ornament of ornaments. Enhancing the wonderful beauty of Krishna is his three-curved style of standing. Above all these beautiful features, Krishna's eyes dance and move obliquely, acting like arrows to pierce the minds of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. When the arrow succeeds in hitting its target, their minds become agitated. Brahmando pari parabhyoma tahanje swarupagan tasabar bole hariman patibrata shiromani tare kohe bedabani akarshaye se lakmigan. The beauty of Krishna's body is so attractive that it attracts not only the demigods and other living entities within this material world, but the personalities of the spiritual sky as well, including the Narayans, who are expansions of Krishna's personality. The minds of the Narayans are thus attracted by the beauty of Krishna's body. In addition, the goddess of fortune, the goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, who are the wives of the Narayans and are the women described in the Vedas as most chaste, are also attracted by the wonderful beauty of Krishna. Charigopi manorate manmatere manamate namadare maranamohan jini panchasara darpa swayam nava kandarpa rasakore loya gopigan. Favoring the gopis, Krishna rides on the chariots of their minds, and just to receive loving service from them, he attracts their minds like Cupid. Therefore, he is also called Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid. Cupid has 5 arrows representing form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. Krishna is the owner of these 5 arrows, and with his Cupid-like beauty, he conquers the minds of the gopis, though they are very proud of their super excellent beauty. Becoming a new Cupid, Krishna attracts their minds and engages in the rasa dance. Nijasama sakag sange gogana charana range brindabane swachanda bihar jarabenu dwani shuni stavara jangama prani prabhaya kampa ashru bahidar. When Lord Krishna wanders in the forest of Vrindavan with his friends on an equal level, there are innumerable cows grazing. This is another of the Lord's blissful enjoyments. When he plays on his flute, all living entities, including trees, plants, animals, and human beings, tremble and are saturated with jubilation. Tears flow constantly from their eyes. Muktahar Bhakapanti Indradanu Pinchatati Pitambara Bijuri Sanchar Krishnanaba Jaladar Jagat Sasya Upar Varishaye Lilamritadar. Krishna wears a pearl necklace that appears like a chain of white ducks around his neck. The peacock feather in his hair appears like a rainbow, and his yellow garments appear like lightning in the sky. Krishna appears like a newly risen cloud, and the gopis appear like newly grown grains in the field. constant rains of nectarian pastimes fall upon these newly grown grains, and it seems that the gopis are receiving beams of life from Krishna exactly as grains receive life from the rains. Madhurya Bhagavatasar Braje Koila Parachar Tahasuka Vyasera Nandan Stane Stane Bhagavate Barni Jache Janaite Tahashuni Mate Bhaktagan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is full in all six opulences, including his attractive beauty, which engages him in conjugal love with the gopis. Such sweetness is the quintessence of his qualities. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, has described these pastimes of Krishna throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. Hearing the descriptions, the devotees become mad with love of God. Kahite Krishnara Rase Shloka Pare Prema Beshe Preme Sanatana Hatadori Gopi Bhagya Krishnagan Jai Jai Korila Varnan Baba Beshe Mathura Nagari Kahite Krishnara Ras Shloka Pade Prema Beshe Preme Sanatana Hatadori Gopi Bhagya Krishnagan Gopi Bhagya Krishna Guna Jai Kaurila Varnan Baba Beshi Mathura Nagari Kahite Krishnara Rase Shloka Pade Prema Beshe Preme Sanatana Hatadari Gopi Bhagya Krishna Guna Jai Kaurila Varnan Baba Beshi Mathura Nagari. Just as the women of Mathura ecstatically described the fortune of the gopis of Vrindavan and the transcendental qualities of Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the different mellows of Krishna and became overwhelmed with ecstatic love. Grasping the hand of Sanatan Goswami, he recited the following verse. Gopyas tapa kim acharan yad amusha rupam Lavanya Sharam Asor Mordvam Ananyasidam Drigbi Pibanti Anusara Binabam Durapam Ekanta Dhamma Yashasa Shirya Shirya Aishvarasya. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of the form of Lord Krishna, which is the essence of loveliness, and is not to be equaled or surpassed. Their loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh and unique. Tarunyamrita Paravar Taranga Lavanyasar Tate Se Avarta Babodgam Bamshidwani Chakrabata Narir Mana Trinapata Tahadubai Nahoy Udgam. The bodily beauty of Sri Krishna is like a wave in the ocean of eternal youth. In that great ocean is the whirlpool of the awakening of ecstatic love. The vibration of Krishna's flute is like a whirlwind, and the flickering minds of the gopis are like straws and dry leaves. After they fall down in the whirlwind, they never rise again, but remain eternally at the lotus feet of Krishna. So, this is some poetry which Mahaprabhu is, in his ecstasy, is speaking to Sanatan Goswami. And Mahaprabhu at the end of, we still have a little ways to go, not very much, but at the end of the chapter, Mahaprabhu tells Sanatan Goswami, actually I wanted to speak about something else, but I got carried away by ecstasy, so I spoke in this way. But he says, we had this conversation because you're one madman and I'm another madman. So like that. But I feel it's already at 9 o'clock, so I'm going to stop here. I also feel like when you're reading these portions of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's like eating a sweet. You just don't eat a huge mound of sweets. So it's very nice. This is a chapter. Especially, I remember reading as I've said many times, before the Chaitanya Charitamrita came out, it was summarized in the book by Srila Prabhupada, The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which deal with the philosophical parts of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I always remember this chapter because where it talks about the, the pearls on the neck of Krishna, they appear like a flock of what? No, talks about they appear like, I want to see the exact description, because I've read this many times. In this, when Mahaprabhu was describing the opulences and spiritual potencies of Krishna in this way, there was an awakening of love of Krishna within him. His mind became immersed in the sweetness of conjugal love, and he quoted the following verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says, he says, like so many, Krishna's eyes dance. Krishna wears a pearl necklace that appears like a chain of white ducks around his neck. The peacock feather in his hair appears like a rainbow, and his yellow garments appear like lightning in the sky. Krishna appears like a newly risen cloud, and the gopis appear like newly grown grains in the field. Constant rains of nectarian pastimes fall upon these newly grown grains, and it seems that the gopis are receiving beams of life from Krishna exactly as grains receive life from the rains. But I remember that at first I thought, like ducks, but then I had to read it again. But that's what I remember. The pearls on his neck appear like a chain of white ducks around his neck. And the peacock feather in his hair appears like a rainbow, and his yellow garments appear like lightning in the sky. I remember reading that in the book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And I remember I was kind of amazed by that description. But this is Mahaprabhu in his ecstasy describing things in this way to Sanatan Goswami. And that's like I said, at the end of the chapter, Mahaprabhu tells Sanatan Goswami that I wanted to speak about something else, but he says, resuming his external consciousness, we'll get to this, but Mahaprabhu told Sanatan Goswami, I have not spoken of what I intended. Lord Krishna is very merciful to you because by bewildering my mind, he has revealed his personal opulence and sweetness. He has caused you to hear all these things from me for your understanding. Since I have become a madman, I am saying one thing instead of another. This is because I'm being carried away by the waves of the nectarian ocean of Lord Krishna's transcendental sweetness. But he also says to Sanatan Goswami that this has happened because I'm a madman and you're also a madman. So this kind of communication has happened.
You spoke about Brahman and them having multiple heads. Can you explain to me what is a Brahman and what's the relationship?
What is what?
Brahman.
Oh, they're different. They're different. Brahmins are the priestly caste, but Brahma, it's a different word. He's not a Brahmin. He's in charge of the mode of Rajagun, which is passion, but it also is more than passion. It's procreation, it's beginning something, like initiative. All these things are in Rajagun. But Lord Brahma is also, he's described of the three guna avatars, or those in charge of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Lord Brahma's creation. Vishnu is maintenance, maintaining for a long period. And Shiva's in charge of destruction. So Brahma is said to be the creator. But actually, it's not in the creator because actually the creation is populated by souls. And Brahma isn't the source of the souls, Krishna is. So Brahma is the creator, but he's sometimes compared to be an engineer. He creates all the forms. He creates all the forms. Like you can say, somebody creates a housing complex, creates the form, but then people go and live in that housing complex. So Brahma's a creator, but we will say more in the sense of an engineer of the universe. Then it's populated with living entities. So I'm going to sing here and for today. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jahoite Bignana Shabista Puran. H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas. Tasabara Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame Janame More Abhilash. H.I. Gosai Jabe Brache Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bacha Brindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyasta Tara Sada Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyasta Tara Sada Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Rakakshidhar Dev Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Marga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasya Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsi Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Dham Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.